Admiral Doohan Kim stood at the large window of Seoul Military Command Center, his eyes fixed on the night sky. The stars looked different now. They weren't just beautiful lights anymore. They were possible threat points, places where enemies could hide. The year was 2187, and Earth had changed much in the last 50 years. Humans had spread across the solar system, building colonies on Mars and mining stations near Jupiter. They had made friends with alien races, especially the Tory Confederation, who had helped them advance their technology. But something was wrong today. Very wrong. Admiral, we've lost contact with all Tory ships, Lieutenant Hay Newley reported, her voice shaking slightly. They're leaving the solar system. All of them. At once. Doohan's face remained calm, but his hands tightened behind his back. The Tory had been their closest allies for 20 years. They had shared technology, traded goods, and helped protect Earth's colonies. Their sudden departure made no sense. Show me, he ordered, walking to the main screen. The display lit up with dozens of blue dots. Tory ships, all moving away from Earth at high speed. It looked like someone had thrown a handful of glowing sand into space. Sir, another officer called out. Strange energy readings at the edge of the solar system. They're huge. Doohan was about to respond when his personal communicator buzzed. The message was from Tory High Commander, someone he had called a friend for 15 years. The alien's face appeared on the small screen, looking worried. Doohan, my friend, I have only moments. They are coming. The Dominion. We cannot help you. They are too strong, and they have our families. I'm sorry, but remember, humans are stronger than you know. You survived alone before we came. You must do so again. The screen went black. Doohan felt cold. He had read about the Dominion in Tory records. They were conquerors who destroyed civilizations for fun, but they had always seemed far away, someone else's problem. Sir, Hay Newell's voice cut through his thoughts. Multiple ships coming out of hyperspace, thousands of them. The main screen changed. Where the Tory ships had been, new dots appeared, red ones. They kept appearing, more and more, like angry red stars. Battle stations, Doohan ordered, his voice steady and clear. Send word to all colonies. Begin civilian evacuations. Wake up every soldier, pilot, and ship we have. Contact Mars Command and the Jupiter stations. The room burst into action. Alarms began to sound throughout the building. In the distance, he could hear the city's warning sirens starting to wail. Doohan looked at the screen again. The red dots were moving closer, spreading out in attack formation. He thought about Earth's defenses, good, but not great. Their best ships had been designed with Tory help. Would they be enough? But then he remembered humanity's history. Humans had faced impossible odds before. They had survived ice ages with just stone tools. They had crossed oceans in wooden boats. They had reached space in ships made of metal and dreams. Send a message to all commands, he said, his voice growing stronger. Tell them, the Tory have fled. We stand alone. But that is nothing new. Earth has always stood alone until we proved ourselves worthy of friendship. Now we will prove ourselves worthy of victory. He turned to face his crew. Their faces showed fear, but also determination. They were ready to fight. Today, he said, we remind the galaxy why humanity survived every disaster nature threw at us. Today, we show them our fire and fury. The first Dominion ships entered Mars orbit. The war for humanity's survival had begun. Captain Jaewon Park watched in horror as the first Dominion ships reached Mars. Their ships were huge. Each one looked like a dark metal triangle with glowing red lines along its sides. They were beautiful in a scary way, like deadly snakes. Status report. She called from her command chair on the EDS Defender, Earth's newest battleship. Lieutenant Hay Newell's fingers flew across her communications panel. Mars Colony 1 is evacuating. 3,000 civilians moving to underground bunkers. Colony 2 and 3 are launching emergency ships. But the Dominion. She paused, her voice getting tight. They're targeting the escape pods. Jai-1's hands gripped her chair's arms. Attacking civilians was the act of cowards. Launch fighters. Protect those escape pods. All weapons target the nearest Dominion ship. The space around Mars lit up with weapons fire. Human ships, though smaller, moved fast and struck hard. But the Dominion ships had strong shields. Regular weapons barely hurt them. Captain, Newell called out. I'm picking up their communications. They're encrypted, but there's something strange about them. What do you mean? Their signals get weaker when we fire our electromagnetic pulse weapons. And look, their shields flicker too. Jai-1 sat up straighter. This was important. Send this information to all ships. Focus EMP weapons on their shield generators. The battle changed quickly. Human ships began firing EMPs before their main weapons. The Dominion shields weakened, and regular weapons started doing damage. But the Dominion had many ships. For each one damaged, 3 more took its place. They pushed forward, getting closer to Earth with each passing hour. Then Newell made another discovery. Captain, I've decoded part of their messages. The Tauri, they didn't betray us. The Dominion is holding their home worlds hostage. Jai-1 processed this news. The Tauri hadn't abandoned them. They were trying to protect their own people, just like humans were doing now. Send this to Admiral Kim, she ordered. He needs to know. Suddenly, the ship shook hard. A Dominion beam had hit them. Damage report. Shields at 40%. Hull breach on Deck 3. Emergency teams responding. Jai-1 looked at her tactical screen. They were surrounded by Dominion ships. Things looked bad, but she remembered her training and something her grandfather, an old Navy captain, used to say. When the enemy is stronger, change the rules of the fight. All power to engines, she ordered. Plot a course straight for that asteroid field. Her crew looked surprised but trusted her. The Defender turned and raced toward a dense field of space rocks. The Dominion ships followed, their big ships moving slower than the human vessel, just as planned. Release all mines, set them to follow our path exactly. Small black objects dropped from the Defender as it weaved through the asteroids. The Dominion ships, focused on chasing them, didn't notice. When I give the word, Jai-1 said calmly, detonate all mines and fire EMPs at the asteroids. They waited until the Dominion ships were deep in the field. Then, now, the mines exploded. The EMPs hit the metal-rich asteroids, creating a massive electromagnetic storm. Dominion ships lost power, their shields failed, and the asteroids did the rest. Message from Earth Command. Newell reported excitedly. Other ships are copying our strategy. We found a way to fight back. Jai-1 allowed herself a small smile. They had won this battle, but the war was far from over. Still, they had proven something important. Humanity wouldn't go down without a fight, and they were smarter than the Dominion expected. Take us back to Mars, she ordered. We have civilians to protect, and a war to win. Commander Sun Ma Choi knew Saturn's rings were beautiful, but today they were more than that. Today, they were humanity's best chance for survival. Move our ships behind the ice chunks, she ordered from her command ship. Engineer Ryu, are the new weapons ready? Taiyang Ryu looked up from his workstation, his eyes tired but excited. Yes, Commander. The shield-piercing missiles are loaded. We used parts from destroyed Dominion ships to make them better. The human fleet had fallen back to Saturn after losing the outer Mars colonies. But Sun Ma had a plan. Saturn's rings were full of ice and rock, perfect for hiding ships and setting traps. Enemy ships approaching, her radar officer called out. 50, no, 70 Dominion vessels. Sun Ma nodded calmly. Let them come. All ships, stay hidden. Wait for my signal. The Dominion fleet moved closer, their huge ships breaking through the thin outer rings of Saturn. They were looking for the human fleet, but they weren't looking carefully enough. "They think we're weak," Sun Mai said to her crew. "They think we're running away. Let's show them how wrong they are." She waited until the enemy ships were deep in the ring system. The ice and rocks would make it hard for them to move quickly. "Now," she commanded, "all ships, attack pattern Delta." Human ships burst out from behind the ice chunks like angry wasps from a hidden nest. They were smaller than the Dominion ships, but they could move better in the crowded space. "Launch the new missiles," Sun Mai ordered. Tai Yang pressed the launch button. The new weapons shot out, glowing blue instead of the usual red. When they hit the Dominion ships, something different happened. Instead of bouncing off the shields, they went right through them. "It works," Tai Yang shouted happily. "The missiles are using their own shield frequency against them." The Dominion ships started exploding. They tried to fight back, but the human ships were too quick, ducking behind ice chunks and attacking from new directions. "Use the ice," Sun Mai called out to her fleet. "Push the bigger pieces at them." Human ships fired their weapons at huge chunks of ice, sending them flying at the enemy. Some Dominion ships got hit and spun out of control. Others tried to dodge and crashed into each other. "They're retreating," someone shouted. Sun Mai watched as the remaining Dominion ships turned around. They had lost almost half their fleet. "Should we chase them?" her second-in-command asked. "No," Sun Mai said. "Let them run. Let them tell their leaders that humans aren't easy targets. Let them remember Saturn as the place where their victory stopped." The bridge crew cheered. It was their first big win against the Dominion. Tai Yang walked up to Sun Mai, holding a datapad. "Commander, I've been studying the data from the battle. Each time we destroy one of their ships, we learn more about their technology. We're getting stronger." Sun Mai smiled. This was why humans were different from the Dominion. Humans didn't just fight. They learned, they adapted, they got better. "Send all the data to Earth," she ordered, "and get ready for more battles. They'll be back, and next time they'll be more careful." She looked out at Saturn's rings, now full of broken Dominion ships mixed with the ice and rock. It was still beautiful, but now it was also a symbol that humanity would use whatever it had, even frozen water and space rocks, to defend itself. "Today we won a battle," she told her crew. "Tomorrow, we start planning how to win the war." Dr. Yun Ho Kang hadn't slept in 2 days, but he didn't care. His team was close to a breakthrough in the underground labs beneath Seoul. The pieces of broken Dominion ships scattered around his lab held secrets, and he was finally starting to understand them. "Major Bake," he called out to the soldier watching his work. "Look at this." Yoon Suk Baek walked over, his uniform dusty from the morning's drills. As head of special operations, he needed to know if the scientists were making anything useful. "What did you find?" Yoon Suk asked. Yun Ho pointed to a glowing piece of Dominion technology. "Their power cores don't just make energy. They bend space itself. That's how their shields work. But look what happens when we copy this pattern." He pressed a button. A small device on his desk hummed to life. A bubble of energy formed around it. But this shield looked different. It was blue-green instead of the Dominion's red. "We mixed their technology with ours," Yun Ho explained excitedly. "Their space-bending power with our electromagnetic systems. Project Phoenix is almost ready." Suddenly, alarms started ringing. A young scientist ran into the lab. "Doctor, Major, we've decoded more of the Tory messages," she said, catching her breath. "The Dominion didn't just threaten the Tory. They gave them a choice: run away or watch their worlds burn. The Tory chose to run to save their people, but they left us clues in their technology. They wanted us to find them." Yoon Suk's eyes widened. "That's why their ships work so well with ours. They built them that way on purpose." Yun Ho nodded. "The Tory knew we could figure it out. They believed in us." He turned back to his work. "And now we'll prove them right. Over the next few hours, they tested the new defense system. Each test worked better than the last. Project Phoenix wasn't just a shield. It could throw enemy weapons back at them. Time to test it in real combat, Yoon-suk said. He called Earth Command on his communicator. Admiral Kim, Project Phoenix is ready. Request permission to deploy. They got their chance an hour later. 3 Dominion scout ships appeared near the moon, looking for weaknesses in Earth's defenses. Yoon-suk led a small team of ships to meet them. Each ship carried the new Phoenix system. Remember, Yeon-ho's voice came through the radio from his lab. The shields will absorb their first shot and send it back. After that, hit them with everything we have. The Dominion ships attacked first, firing their red energy beams. But instead of causing damage, the beams hit the blue-green Phoenix shields and bounced back. The Dominion ships weren't ready for their own weapons to hit them. It works, Yoon-suk shouted. All ships, open fire. The battle was short. Without their shield advantage, the Dominion ships fell quickly to human weapons. Back in the lab, Yeon-ho watched the battle data flow in. This is just the beginning, he told his team. Now we know we can beat their best technology. Next, we'll make it even better. Messages started coming in from other bases. Everyone wanted Project Phoenix. Earth's ships were being fitted with the new systems as fast as they could make them. The Dominion thought they could break us by taking away our allies, Yoon-suk said, watching the workers install Phoenix systems on more ships. Instead, they forced us to become stronger than ever. Yeon-ho smiled, finally letting himself feel tired. Like the phoenix bird in old stories, he said. We're rising from the ashes, stronger than before. They had passed an important point in the war. Humanity wasn't just surviving anymore. They were getting ready to fight back. Admiral Do-han Kim stood with Fleet Commander Mi-rae-song in Earth's main war room. The big screen showed their ships, now equipped with Project Phoenix shields, spread across the solar system. It's time, Do-han said, looking at the battle plans. We've been running and hiding long enough. Now we show them what happens when you push humanity too far. Mi-rae nodded, her eyes bright with determination. She had spent weeks planning this attack. Our scouts found their supply lines, she said, pointing to a map of space. The Dominion ships need special fuel. They have only 3 main supply bases. And if we cut off their fuel, Do-han smiled slightly. Their ships become useless, Mi-rae finished. Like cars without gas. They called all ship captains for a final meeting. The plan was risky, but simple. While the Dominion thought humans were still defending Earth, they would strike at the enemy's supply lines instead. Captain Jae-won's group will attack the first fuel base, Mi-rae explained to the captains. Commander Sunmi will hit the second. I will lead the attack on the third. The Dominion won't expect us to attack all 3 at once. The room was quiet as everyone studied their roles. They all knew this was their big chance. If they failed, Earth would lose its best ships. If they won, they could turn the whole war around. One more thing, Do-han added. Our scientists found something interesting in the Dominion fuel. It explodes much worse than normal fuel when hit with our electromagnetic pulses. Jae-won, who had proven EMPs worked against Dominion shields, smiled wide. So we're not just cutting off their fuel. We're turning it into a weapon, Mi-rae said, against their own ships. The attack began at Earth dawn. 3 human fleets jumped through space, each heading to a different supply base. The Dominion, used to humans playing defense, didn't see it coming. Mi-rae led her ships toward the biggest fuel base. As they got close, she saw huge tanks floating in space, connected by metal tubes. Dominion ships floated nearby, guarding them. All ships, attack pattern Sigma, she ordered. Remember your training. Hit the fuel tanks with EMPs first, then regular weapons. The space lit up with battle. The Dominion ships tried to protect their fuel, but they were surprised and confused. They weren't ready for humans to attack so boldly. The EMP blasts hit the fuel tanks. The strange Dominion fuel started to react, glowing brighter and brighter. Then the regular weapons hit. The explosion was bigger than anyone expected. It took out not just the fuel tanks but most of the Dominion ships too. The few enemy ships that survived tried to run away. Fleet Commander. Her radio crackled. Captain Jai-1 reports success at Base 1. Commander Sunmei has destroyed Base 2. Mai-Ray allowed herself to smile. Send word to Admiral Kim. All targets destroyed. The Dominion supply lines are cut. Back in the war room, Du-Han got the news. He watched as dozens of Dominion ships started pulling back across the solar system. Without fuel bases, they couldn't stay and fight. Send this message to all ships, he ordered. Phase 1 complete. The enemy is running. But this is just the beginning. Now we take the fight to them. Mai-Ray's fleet returned to Earth as heroes. But she was already planning the next attack. The Dominion had started this war thinking humans were weak. Now they would learn just how wrong they were. Tomorrow, she told her crews, we start chasing them back to their own space. The real counterattack is about to begin. Ambassador Jin A-Yoon was working in her office on Earth when the alert came. Strange ships were appearing at the edge of the solar system. But these weren't Dominion ships. They were Tory vessels. Captain Ji-1. She called through her communicator. Are you seeing this? Yes, Ambassador. Ji-1 replied from her ship. But something's different. They're not running this time. They're in battle formation. Jin-A rushed to the command center. The main screen showed hundreds of Tory ships, their blue-silver hulls gleaming in the starlight. They were bigger and more powerful than before. A message came through. The face on the screen was familiar. The Tory High Commander who had warned them months ago. People of Earth, he said, his voice full of emotion. We have returned. The Dominion thought they could control us by threatening our families. But they forgot something important. They had to keep soldiers on our worlds to watch us. Soldiers they now need to fight you. Jin-A stepped forward. You used their own war against us to free your people. Yes, the commander smiled. While they focused on Earth, we took back our worlds. Now we return, stronger than ever, ready to fight beside you again. Captain J1's voice came through. Ambassador, the Tory ships, they're carrying new weapons, and their design looks familiar. Jin-A studied the ships closer. She gasped. They're using our technology, the same way we used theirs for Project Phoenix. The Tory commander nodded. We learned from you. Your courage showed us the way. The Dominion thought separating us would make us weaker. Instead, we both grew stronger apart. Now imagine how strong we'll be together. Jin-A spent the next hours in meetings, working out the new alliance. The Tory brought more than just ships. They had information about the Dominion's home systems. Their empire is huge, the commander explained, showing maps. But it's built on fear. Many worlds they control want to break free. They just need to see it's possible. And we can show them, Jai-1 said. Earth and the Tory, fighting together. The Tory also revealed something important about the Dominion's weakness. Their whole empire depends on that special fuel, the commander said. Without it, their ships don't work, their weapons fail. That's why they attacked us first. We were getting close to finding their main fuel source. Jin-A looked at the maps again. She saw something interesting. These fuel lines, they all lead back to one place. Yes, the commander said. Their throne world, the heart of their empire. The place they think no one would dare attack. The room grew quiet. Everyone knew what this meant. They had a chance not just to push the Dominion back, but to end their threat forever. Jin-A stood up. I need to speak with Admiral Kim and Fleet Commander Mai-Ray. We have planning to do. As she walked out, she saw human and Tory crews already working together, sharing information and ideas. Some were improving the Phoenix shields. Others were planning battle strategies. The Tory commander walked with her. You know, he said, The Dominion calls themselves the greatest power in the galaxy, but they don't understand real power. They think it comes from fear and control. And what do you think? Jin 8 asked. Real power comes from trust, from helping each other grow stronger. That's what they feared about our alliance. Not our weapons, but how well we work together. Jin smiled. Then let's show them they were right to be afraid. The next day, human and Tory ships began training together, preparing for their biggest battle yet. The Dominion had started this war by trying to break apart allies. Now those same allies were about to show them the price of that mistake. The combined fleet of human and Tory ships moved through space toward the Dominion throne world. Admiral Du-Han Kim stood on his command ship's bridge, watching thousands of ships fly in perfect formation. All ships report ready, Fleet Commander Mi Rae-song announced. Earth forces, Tory forces, and Project Phoenix systems all at full power. The plan was bold but simple. Captain Jae-won would lead the attack on their fuel production centers. Commander Sunmi would protect the fleet's flanks. The Tory would engage their main forces, and Du-Han would lead the strike at their command center. Enemy ships detected. Hae-Newell's voice rang out. They're launching everything they have. The space ahead filled with Dominion ships. There were thousands of them, their red-lined hulls blocking out the stars. In the center was their command ship, bigger than anything humans had ever seen. They think size matters, Du-Han said calmly. Show them what really counts. All ships, battle positions. The fight began. The Dominion expected an easy victory. They had more ships, bigger weapons, but they didn't understand what they were fighting. Human ships darted between their big vessels, Phoenix shields turning enemy weapons against them. Tory ships struck from above and below, using tactics they learned from studying Earth's battles. Every move was coordinated, every strike planned. Ji-won's team has reached the fuel centers. Mi Rae reported. They're starting their attack. On her ship, Jae-won led the strike. All ships fire EMPs, just like Saturn. The electromagnetic pulses hit the fuel storage tanks. Chain reactions started, just as planned. Main fuel production is destroyed. Jae-won called out. Their ships can't reload now. The Dominion fleet started to panic. Some ships tried to run away. Others fought harder, becoming desperate. Now, Du-Han ordered, full attack on their command ship. Show them humanity's fire and fury. Every human and Tory ship that could still fight turned their weapons on the massive command ship. Phoenix shields absorbed and reflected enemy fire. Tory weapons struck at weak points humans had found. Inside his lab on Earth, Dr. Yun-ho watched the battle data flow in. The combined Phoenix shields are working better than we hoped, he told Ambassador Jin-ah. Human and Tory technology together. It's stronger than either alone. The command ship's shields started to fail. Its weapons went dark. The mighty vessel that had terrified galaxies began to drift. Their leaders are surrendering. Hae-Newell shouted. They're calling off their fleet. The battle wasn't quite over. Some Dominion ships still fought, but more and more of them stopped as they saw their leaders had given up. Du-Han took a deep breath. Send this message to all ships, all worlds. The Dominion has fallen. The alliance of Earth and the Tory claims victory. To all worlds under Dominion control, you are now free. The cheering started on Earth first, then spread across every human colony and Tory world. Ships began sending out the message to other galaxies. The greatest empire in space had been defeated by the very allies they tried to break apart. Later, at the victory celebration in Seoul, Du-Han stood with the Tory commander watching fireworks light up the sky. You know, the commander said, the Dominion never understood their real mistake. They thought separating allies was smart, but they forced us to grow stronger apart, then let us join together again. Du-Han nodded. They thought they were attacking Earth's weakest point, our reliance on allies. Instead, they attacked our strongest point, our ability to stand alone when we must, and fight beside friends when we can. Above them, human and Tory ships flew together, their crews celebrating as friends. The galaxy would remember this day. The day when allies fled, but humanity answered with fire and fury, and in doing so, built an even stronger alliance than before. In the end, the Dominion's greatest weapons had been turned against them. Not just their technology, but their strategy itself. They had tried to use fear to break allies apart. Instead, they had given those allies a reason to become stronger, braver, and more unified than ever before.